That's enough. All right, you guys. Hi, I am extremely exhausted. I know you guys are like, why is she up so freaking early? Well, um, this is part of what I do in order to help people who are in need. The best way for me to do it is early in the morning. So that's just what I got finished doing. Just handing out blankets and things like that. So um, yeah, I'm probably gonna try to take a nap a little bit after. Um, I'm in my spare room, so that's cool. Cool for me. I can recharge. I gotta walk my dog too. But oh, excuse me. When I hadn't been home um like for a good minute, and I hadn't. Well, yeah, I hadn't been home for a good minute, but I had before I left. I've been sleeping in one room and not visiting the other room in my space. And that's just because I just been very busy trying to get everything together. Um, and I had an opportunity to come in here today, and I noticed like some of my things were in disarray. Now, I know that sounds like, okay, that's not a big deal, but if you haven't had anyone in this room, or in a space, where things, should be, and you place things in a certain spot, where things should be. And when things are not in the same spot that you left them, you know that you're not going crazy. I used to, I had to deal with an issue like that when I was with someone before, and he was definitely a toxic person, but he would literally try to play mind games with me, and especially with my keys. I would put my keys down, and he would move my keys and would say that I'm just losing my mind, or I go to the spot and I can't find it. And then I'll go to usual spots where it usually is and it's not there, and as I get frustrated, you know, he would place the keys back. And I was like, what the heck? I used to have to go through things like that. Oh, and I would basically take a piece of tape, put it on the keys, and stick it on on the countertop just to make sure that I'm not going crazy. And on top of that, we had this ledger underneath the island countertop. So it was another it was like the island, and then it was like a little ledge thing right here. So I would put a little piece of paper like I left my. And I know that sounds crazy, but I really had to do that to make sure that I wasn't going nuts because I literally thought I was going nuts. And I would say, I left I left my key here at and put the time and the date and put it underneath the the ledger, excuse me. So when he would move it, I would be able, if I did leave it there at that time, at that date, I know that the paper would still be there. Now, if I moved it, I would take the paper, ball it up, throw it away, and then place it wherever it was. I know people are like, why you just didn't get hooks to put things on? You did have hooks. Um, this was just some of the mind games that were um, played on me. So when when I knew that I wasn't crazy, like you feel something inside, you're gonna make every precaution. To me, I'm a person that I want to see the best in everything instead of just getting up and leaving. But it was so many other toxic things that was going around me. I didn't make the decision to get up and move. So that was excuse me. I don't know why all of a sudden I'm like yarning. I was just wide awake and all of a sudden I'm yarning, y'all. Okay, so that was one of the reasons why um I couldn't like I couldn't grasp it that it was, this person was playing mind games with me, and I had to slowly get out of it my own way by, because I wanted to see for myself. I wanted to know and just really, really, you know, um, see for myself that um, what I was going through was true. Because I was like, how could someone do that? Who has time to sit there and play those kind of games with someone every single day? Like, what was the purpose? What was the point? What was the reason behind all that? But I'll tell you this, after going through that, the manipulation played so much on me to the point where I literally almost lost myself once I grasped everything and left. Um, and on top of that, it was even harder because it opened my eyes to a lot of things and a lot of people that were around me that were literally taking advantage of me and some of the things that I had to offer, which I thought that I didn't have anything to offer. I thought I didn't have anything to offer, but I really did. Um, so yeah, so yesterday, I'll talk. I'm telling you guys this because of what happened yesterday. So yesterday, um, I talked to one of my aunts, and the conversation I talked about this aunt before previously in a couple of other recordings, but I noticed that some of the conversations that she had dealing with my mom, and it was just weird, y'all. If you hear things, how do I say this without being too upfront? Because I don't want to super expose. I want people to acknowledge what happens, and what goes on. Sometimes when you're dealing with someone um, who is toxic, it's usually not just one person. It's never. It hardly is ever one person because if you had a toxic person surrounded by all healthy people, what was that all about? Don't know. Don't care. Thank you, God. Cover this place. If you have um a space and it's one toxic person and it's all around them, everyone else is healthy mentally, physically, spiritually, and they are constant healthy, meaning that they're working on it every single day. They keep their guard up, things like that. It is going to be harder for a toxic person to manipulate someone that is fully healthy. But say, for instance, and this is the real world because we all come short and we all, can be toxic at one point in our lives and another. Um, that you you get there and there's a toxic person and there's someone who's been around toxic people or and never worked on what they're doing or their insecurities. Guess what? That toxic person is going to try to lean on their weakness. And I mean that's in all honesty, we all have some of that kind of behavior, especially when it's dealing with self-preservation. That's why people tell you that it's better to prepare and to get things in order. Um, yeah, to get things in order and together before things get tougher. Oh, excuse me, because if you don't, um, it can lead to a lot of things. It can lead to a lot of um, unhealthy things. So, but if someone's that toxic and they have a lot of insecurities, it can spread. You know, a toxic person cannot survive in a constant, healthy environment. It's just like the body. You know, a fungus cannot live in a body that is been um, constantly healthy, built with the right nutrients, ridding itself of where fungus lies. How does it stay? How does it operate? Things like that. So um, when you understand that, you understand the purpose or the methods behind um, keeping your grass low. Meaning, don't have you don't need everyone around you to succeed. You don't. People will tell you you need all these people. In reality, you don't. You need yourself because if it's for you, it's inside of you, and you will be led. Excuse me. You'll be led to the right people. I've had strangers help me, and God sent strangers to help me during this journey. Okay, you don't need 12,000 people. Don't need 12,000 followers. All you need is determination and consistency, okay? And when I say consistency, guard yourself up. You know that you're surrounded by people who are ready to take advantage of what is going on. And anytime you're doing something good, listen, I was getting so upset because I was like, okay, especially with people who see my struggle, who never really tried to help me fulfill my dreams or even to help me get over humps. And then when I overcome them, and not only overcome them, but I conquer them, it's like they show up and just assume that I'm supposed to help them and all this other stuff, and it's like no, it can't happen, you know. Or I'm with people and we're supposed to be helping each other, but after things get, more intense, they end up betraying me or, doing something foolish to, take away my trust factor with them. And, once everything comes back up, it's like they want to come back and it's like you can't do it. So, um, basically what this video is supposed to be about, because I don't want to seem like I'm rambling, y'all. I'm trying to put things in words without oversharing, but at the same time, giving you guys some insight because I'm walking through this. I'm not telling you guys something that I just witnessed just like, 10 years ago or something like that. This is something that is living every single day. Um, so I'm trying to put it in the best terms possible because I know God is still working out some of the situations, but it's easier to keep your grass cut low. Keep yourself on guard. Not to say to cover yourself up, but to keep yourself on guard, when you're dealing with situations and manipulative people like that. Because a toxic person, like I said, cannot survive without having another toxic person. Think about Jezebel and Ahab. People saw Jezebel, but if you really think about it, it was Ahab that had the most um that was the most toxic because he was the enabler. Like Jezebel was calling the shots, and people would think like, oh yeah, she was more wicked, But to be in all honesty, the real issue was because the um the only reason that Jezebel was able to run and reign was because Ahab was so weak and so passive. He was so weak and who he had around him. He was so weak into temptation that he married somebody that God literally told him don't bind himself with. And that was the destruction of his kingdom. You know, um, it wasn't because he loved women. It wasn't because of that. It was because he had someone that was unlike him, and it shifted and changed him into something totally um, against God. It was something totally um, not him or not for him to do. So, and that's the same thing when you're dealing with a toxic person. You gotta think about it. Whenever it's one, it's never just one person. It's never just one. Okay. Um, I had to think about this in family dynamics, y'all. That's why I said what I was talking about earlier, and I had to cut it off because I was like, okay, there's gonna be always someone that finds this, and they're gonna, oh well, and they try to bash it. It's not that. It's just you can't have, you can't be an enabler to someone. I even had to wake up for myself because in certain instances I was being an enabler, and you don't understand what an can enabler can turn around and be um can be attacked by this toxic person. And usually the enablers usually are attacked. They don't understand that they're being used and misused and everything else. They don't understand that they will triangulate. So once the other person, the person that they consider to be against them or evil, is out of the way, they're going to use someone else. They're going to use the next person and the next person. This is how they do, and I learned that once you keep less the fewer people that you keep into the situation and in the dynamic, the more you can see and you navigate and you can make strong, wise decisions. Not to say that you should cut yourself off from everyone around you, like I said before, but it is imperative that you limit your conversations um, with certain people and look at their patterns. People can hide themselves for a little bit, but they can't hide themselves forever. You'll hear it in their voice, you'll hear it in their tone, and you'll hear it in the sarcastic jokes and the things like that that they make. Um, and when you do that and you hear that, I'm not gonna tell you that it's so easy just to since you cut the grass low just to throw the snake out. It's not even wise to even do that all the time. Sometimes you have to just slowly step back. And then there's other times where you just literally have to just throw them away. you know, um, but that's up to your discretion. But for me, I know that it is better to keep um, the circle of communication smaller. You're not in a lot of extra unnecessariness, and it might sound like you're being mean. It might sound like you're being antisocial. It's not that. You're just being careful as to who and what you're communicating about and what are you talking who are you talking to, because truth be told, a lot of these people who come in as friends are not your friends. They're pushing you back from your destiny. They're pushing you back from what you are called to do. And once you remove them, once you see that, it's gonna be a little bit easier to remove them. um what's another instance? Okay, I got a perfect instance of this. Okay. Um, perfect instance of this. When I was going for the pageant, right? So, God had already told me some things about this individual, but you know, me being me, not listening, that's being disobedient, like the Ahab. Okay, anywho, so I get up and God just literally like was just telling me to stay away from this person. This person was just literally blowing my phone up, like what the heck. So contact them, And they're like, okay, well, let's go out to eat. I'm like, no, I was like, I know I'm going to go and detox today. I'm going to, um, yeah, cleanse out my body. It's, getting towards the last 2 quarters of the year. I need to reset. So, um, they were like, "Oh yeah, well, we should go out, and I was gonna get you this and that, and I was gonna get you this type of food." Mind you, I'm sitting here like this person never offers me any kind of food. This person works at a place that I always ask for something, or like, "Hey, can you drop off, or can I, get this? I'll pay you back." They'll be like, "Well, I can't do it. I can't this and that, and I can't this and that." But all of a sudden, they're like, "Oh yeah," and I'm like, "No." And I mean, when I canceled that down, then they went to something even higher, and something even higher, and something even higher. And I'm like, hmm. And I'm sitting here like, okay, I might as well go because this rarely happens. And once I got into it and I went out with the person and we're communing and we're fellowshipping because that's what you do when you eat. Okay, you're fellowshipping. You just don't eat with everybody. Well, some people do. But um something inside of me just said, okay, this was a setback. This was an intentional setback. And so I literally just stopped. We was at a buffet and I literally just stopped. I just stopped eating and everything. And I was like, okay, I'm cool. And the look on this person's face was just like, I don't know how to explain it, but their face just shifted to anger. And I was like, what the heck? What is going on? Like, why? And they're like, you don't want to eat anymore, blah blah this, and I came and spent this money, and it's like, we definitely got our money's worth. But I was just sitting here like, and I ate my usual. I always eat mushrooms, y'all. But anyhow, I just saw how angry they were because I wasn't partaking in it anymore, and it was like God reminded me like in my spirit, like, okay, you said you were going to detox. Think about it. Soon as you did that, everything came into play. And not only that, it wasn't a coincidence, because people always show up when you want to detox. That's nothing new. But this person directly knew what I was gonna do at the same time. Um, we were actually supposed to do it together. She acted as if she wanted to do it, but like I said, every time she ends up doing something else or tries to get me to do, and not only that, she will try to get me to do it. Like so, um, yeah. So when, like I said, when I stopped and I was like, okay, I'm good, and drink my water or whatever. The face and like it felt like they were like, if I could show y'all the face, it looks so creepy. Like, oh my goodness, like we are not wrestling against flesh and blood. We definitely are not. Um, but her and myself, like I said, we both were weak. Because of that, I could like once it manifests, it was like, oh my god, okay, now it's imperative for me to um do what I need to do and have everything in order, and to not only that, but to separate. You know, when I say separate, it's not on a bad note. It's not on a bad note. It's just trimming your edges, trimming the grass so you can get to where you need to go and not have the extra distractions. Had I stayed there, I would have set myself back. Um, yeah, I would have. Had I stayed in that situation, I would have set myself back even further. And I'm sure it probably would have made some kind of difference when I started competing. Because not only did that happen, this person wanted me to do it every single time, and I was already out of it, and I already was in a space of purification, so to speak. Yeah, a space of purification. Um, so I had to distance myself. So that was a good example of why you should keep things low, because you're able. Not only that, when you have things very low and down, you're able to watch it a little bit better. If something is like a burning flame, a big burning house. You can't usually it's harder to contain that than to have a piece of paper burning on the floor. It's easier to contain that versus a house. So, um, don't know why I said a house, but God, check all the houses around here. Um, cast down any demonic fires or anything like that, or any kind of fires that might be going away. Because tis the season, tis the season, y'all. Um, but yeah, um, keep your grass cut low. Watch out for the people that are around you because even though you might know that there's a real toxic person around, they cannot survive. They cannot, and I repeat, they cannot survive if they are around people who reject it or people that are healthy. And if you're healthy and you're toxic, you're going to reject toxicity. If you're toxic, you're going to reject healthiness. You know, light and dark can't stay in the same place at the same time. So, yeah, I just want you guys to keep that in mind. Yeah, I'm going to get off here because somehow I'm starting to get dozy. Hopefully, something I said or done will help you on your journey. Please stay tuned to Journey to Jerusalem.